Hello everyone, welcome back to Naomi's Bookshelf. Here I am with a tag. I am here with the Agatha Christie book tag. Now, Agatha Christie tag is something where I'm just like, I saw it on Lil's channel and The Hungry Bookworm. They both co-created it and it's lots of fun, but I was tagged by Berna's Bookish Adventures, so thank you for tagging me. Now for this one, I am going to be completely open honest from the beginning. I have not read all of her books. I am working my way through the books. There are several that I have yet to have read, and that's okay. I will get there eventually in my life, but I'm reading one a month and I'm enjoying it at a slow pace where I'm not over ingesting Agatha Christie. So we're just going to start off with the very first question. So question number one is, how did you get into Agatha Christie and what's the first book that you read of hers? Now, I don't really even remember how I got into Agatha Christie. I know I have watched some TV shows of hers, like adaptations. I love crime books and mysteries. I've always loved mysteries. And so I don't even know what prompted this. I don't even remember when I picked it up. I feel like I picked it up maybe 6 years ago, but I don't even remember why. 7 years ago, and that is 450 from Paddington. Now this one is not one of her best, but I picked it up and I could not believe what I was reading. It was so good and so mysterious. I was like hooked. I loved this and I've told people like, you need to read this book, because it was just such an interesting one. And I mean, it's not her best, but I was engrossed in this book and loved it. And I just couldn't believe how wonderful Agatha Christie was. And so from that point on, I've started collecting all of Agatha Christie's books as much as I can and reasonably without spending too much money. I collect them in like 3 or 4 different editions. I just love them. And this is definitely the first one I read, and this is what got me hooked and sunk my teeth into for the first time, Agatha Christie. So the next question is, have you read any books about Agatha Christie as a person, biographies, autobiographies? And I'm gonna be, I have tried, and I have not read any of her own, I've not read her own biography, and I've not read any other biography aside from this one, which I bought and I promptly struggled with for for Nonfiction November. So this is Agatha Christie, The Woman and Her Mysteries by Gillian Gill, or Gillian Gill, however you pronounce the G, and it just has typos. Now, I know that books have typos, but this is not an ARC. This is not something that publishers have not checked through, so it should be edited properly. There are different things in here that just irk me, and one of those things in general books is when books are not edited properly. I feel like as the reader and not the editor, I should not be reading mistakes. So I got 45 pages in and didn't want to pick it up again. Nonfiction November was kind of a dud month for nonfiction I had planned for myself, so this was just unfortunate timing. I still own it, so I clearly want to keep reading in it, but I'm not at the point where I'm willing to bypass the editing mistakes. They're not mass amounts, but there's enough where I'm just not able to cope with it. We'll get there eventually. So yeah, one day I hope to read this, but I do want to read other biographies. I want to read her autobiography eventually. I'm not sure when that will be, but soon, I hope. I'm trying not to overwhelm myself with reading one author and then never having enough, like not being able to go back and read something for the first time. So eventually I'll read this, I hope. The next question is, have you watched any of Agatha Christie's adaptations? So books, or like book to movie, book to TV. And I remember watching Death on the Nile's episode of Poirot with what's his name? Can't remember. Picture here. I remember watching that one because I was reading Death on the Nile and then I was like, I think I know how this works. I think I know why. And I have read it before or watched it before. So that one I know I've watched. I did enjoy it a lot. And then I've also watched a couple Murder on the Orient Express ones, and they weren't so great. The newest one I did not appreciate as an adaptation. I appreciate it as a movie, but not as an adaptation. I'll put the picture here. And then I have watched a 2003 TV movie of Murder on the Orient Express. I'd give it a pass if I were you. And I have also watched 2 adaptations of And Then There Were None. one of which was my favorite, which is the miniseries that is here, and I thought it was so spectacular to the book, so creepy, so atmospheric. Really, really loved it, and I loved how they kept the ending of the book, because the previous one that I watched didn't keep the ending, which I feel like is the whole point of the book. So yeah, I really love that one, and I also really love David Suchet as that remember just came to me, as Poirot. But I honestly want to watch more of that series as well, because I haven't really watched anything that I can remember aside from Death on the Nile. I also went to a play with my friend at her community theater was putting on an Agatha Christie play. They put on Five Little Pigs or Murder in Retrospect, and I went out and we went to the show together, and it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. For community theater, I thought it was well done, and that was something else that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed that mystery as well, for sure. So the next question is, which book has your favorite Agatha Christie villain? So obviously I'm not telling you who it is, but I'm gonna say it's from the Seven Dials Mystery. I love how this villain works out and how the story works out. I just adore it. So yeah, Seven Dials Mystery is my favorite villain. The next question is, what Agatha Christie book do you want to read or reread next? Now, I want to reread a few, but I am going to read a new one to me in February, and that is Death Comes as the End by Agatha Christie, obviously. This one is one I've tried to read before and failed. I'm going to be reading this for Historathon, and because I need some sort of kick in me to read this book, and it's not that big. None of her books are, but I'm just struggling with it. I have always struggled with this one in particular. I don't know why. But yeah, so this is my Agatha Christie book for February, and it is my next book that I'm reading. So it's set in ancient Egypt, and I don't really know anything else. I think it's kind of following a family. Don't really know. But yeah, so this one is my next one to pick up from Agatha Christie. So the next question is Miss Marple or Poirot, and to explain why. Now, can I just say that I would love to have like Superintendent Battle in there, or Colonel Race, or Adrienne Oliver, because they're also great. But Miss Marple or Poirot, both great. I'm gonna go with, I think, Miss Marple. I think that she is just more my kind of detective in some ways. I do think Poirot's a great detective, but I find him rather irritating at times. And so I'm kind of over him in some ways, and he's good, but I also like to space out the Poirot mysteries, as it is not something my favorite to read. How arrogant he is. I don't like that in a detective or book character for some reason. So yeah, I know in real life he'd annoy me greatly, and in book form he annoys me enough where he's not my favorite character. I do love his books though, but I'm also a little over the pretentiousness. But Miss Marple, I think, I just love how witty she is, how clever she is, and then how she just has those moments of fine gold. I just think that she's great, especially in Sleeping Murder. I really loved that. The last Miss Marple book that I read was Sleeping Murder, and I was like, that was spot on, Miss Marple, spot on. Question 7 is that Agatha Christie also wrote under the name Mary Westmacott. Now, I have not, and the question is, have you read any of her books? I have not read any of those books. I do want to. I do own one, which is The Rose and the Yew Tree, and I want to read this eventually. It's one that I want to read her romance books, which is what these are. So that'd be fun to do and pick up one day. I'm not sure how soon, but I'm also always keeping my eye out for other Mary Westmacott books. I think that'd be a lot of fun to read all of her work, and not just her mysteries, but her romances as well. I also missed, for some reason, the question about a non-recurring character. Who's your favorite? Now, I don't really, it's hard to give an answer, but I think it's going to be the vicar from The Murder at the Vicarage, the first Miss Marple book. I just think he's such a great character, and I wish I had seen more of him. He was such a fun one to see not the murder through, but like the events through. So yeah, really loved the vicar. Now, on to the next question. The next question is, there are several books that have Agatha Christie as a character, not as an author. Have you read any of them, and would you like to? I have not read any of them. I don't even know what books those are. But I would be interested, I think, to see how that plays out. And my interest is piqued, but I also know I have so many books to read that I might not be seeking them out intentionally. The next question is, do you have an Agatha Christie book that you find yourself going back to again and again? Now this one, there are a couple answers, but I think the answer that I read the most is And Then There Were None. Now this one has, by far, I've read the most of Agatha Christie rereads. I have the most amazing audiobook by Dan Stevens, who narrates this book, and it's just so perfect with his accents. This one creeps me out every time, and it's just like coming home in a creepy way, and I just love how this one is about Agatha Christie and like the genius. Can I just say, the genius to create this story is impressive. It's like the first time I think I've ever read something where I was like, there's no plot hole that you did not make, and if there's a plot hole, you fixed it because there's like, it has a purpose. So yeah, this one's by far my favorite Agatha Christie, and one that I come back to time again and again and again. The next question is, Agatha Christie is known as the Queen of Crime. Do you have any other female authors, crime authors, that you like to read and recommend? Now, I have picked 4 books, or 4 authors that I would like to recommend, as I think all of their books, maybe not all of their books, but a lot of their books are really great. The first one being Mary Higgins Clark. She's not the best author in my opinion, but she is a great one for a quick and easy murder mystery read. The next one is Natalie Walters. This is actually her debut novel, and she has a second one out, and the third one's coming out in April, I want to say. And I loved both 1 and 2, and I can't wait for book 3. So Natalie Walters, this is Deadly Deceit, and I recommend it highly. Another one is an author who I've loved for many a year, and that is Terry Blackstock. So this is a Christian author. Natalie Walters is as well. So Christian suspense, and this is one of her series, the Second Chances series, but her books are all very suspenseful. She also has the Cape something, I'll put a picture here, that's really great. And so yeah, highly recommend Terry Blackstock if you have not read her yet. And then also Dee Henderson. This is the O'Malley series. This is book 5 in the series, and I think that all of her suspense novels are really well done, and I love they're all connected. Yeah, so I highly recommend her as well, and I just gobble up her books. So those are 4 female crime authors that I highly recommend you check out. I just have another one, and that's Liane Moriarty, Big Little Lies. I love all of her books as well. So another one, not nearly as gritty as some other books. The last question is, do you find that you prefer a golden age style of mysteries or a more modern approach? And honestly, I think I'm gonna say both. They both have their place for me, and I love them both. I love the slow, methodical way of the Golden Age, but I also loved a fast-paced thriller, mystery, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna say both. Both have a special place in my heart, and I think that they're both wonderful, and they both have a season, a time and a place for me to pick them up. So that is the Agatha Christie tag. If you would like to do it, you are tagged. I don't want to put any pressure on anyone who's not an extreme Agatha Christie fan, but please let me know if you would like to do this tag. I'd love to see your answers, and if you are not going to do this tag as a video, please let me know down below what some of your answers are to these questions. I'd love to hear your differing opinions than mine. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't and you'd like to, and I'll see you all next time with another video. Bye for now.